to go first. You know, it just set the wedding off at a strange vibe. Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show. Hello, if you're new, so today's video is going to be a kiki/rant/review/psychological analysis of Love is Blind Season 4, Episode 12. I hope everybody is doing as well as can be, and I really do hope everybody is being as proactive as possible in supporting the Black Lives Matter movement. And if you're still on the lookout for some resources, I've linked some in the description. Feel free to comment down below your thoughts on my commentary. I'm always up for a chat. I'm always up for a debate. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, give a dislike, no hard feelings. And if you really like this video, consider subscribing and helping your year out. So, Love is Blind, Season 4, Episode 12. The weddings are here. The last episode was literally all of the weddings put together. We now know who got married. We now know who didn't get married. Now, overall, I feel like this episode was pretty tame. Not much drama. There was a little bit of drama, which of course I'll talk about. It was satisfying enough, but you know, messy me kind of wanted a bit more chaos like how we had last season. But I feel like what we got was acceptable. But the messy part of me does kind of feel like I've been cheated a bit, because even if the weddings are a bit more on the tamer side, we have that juicy ass messy reunion right next to it, usually, right? But they're making us wait another week to really get that juicy drama, because although this season hasn't been that dramatic, there is a significant amount of drama that did go down, and we definitely had some iconic and downright scandalous breakups that I really wanted to get into in the reunion. And personally, I would have liked if we wrapped it up like just, you know, the final episode and the reunion. Like, now we have to wait another week for this reunion. It's gonna be live. Like, just give me the drama now. But anyway, let's just get into the review. So first up is Chelsea and Kwame. We begin the episode on the cliffhanger. We've heard Chelsea say yes, and now it's down to Kwame on whether he's going to agree to be married to Chelsea. My predictions were that he was going to say no. Chelsea was the second option, and all he really does is complain about her. He's still in love with Mika. Like, his energy when he's with Mika and his energy when he's with Chelsea, it's just all very telling and ultimately very disrespectful. Chelsea just seems desperate for a husband, because I'm definitely sure that she's peep shit and she's just letting shit slide. And I feel like Kwame has really done his best to put Chelsea off of him, and none of it's worked. Like, even down to his apartment being a mess. I'm pretty sure that he left his apartment a mess so that Chelsea could come to his apartment and be like, oh my God, this man is dirty. Like, let me run away. And it had the opposite effect. So he was just thinking, okay, what new things can I do to try and push her away? And it just didn't work. Like, Chelsea is stuck to Kwame like glue. And then also him bringing up his mother's approval as an excuse, even though it don't make no sense, seeing as his father approves and the rest of his immediate family approves. I was just like, he's just a bullshit. He's just saying and doing anything to get out of this marriage. So I assume, I was like 100% positive that Kwame was going to say no. So Kwame's time comes. He's not really looking happy. He's not really looking excited. So I'm like, okay, the no is coming. The no is coming. How's Chelsea going to react? Is she going to have a breakdown? Is she going to cuss him out? Like, what are we going to see? You know, Messy Me was like, okay, what's going to go down? Just for Kwame to say yes. I'm sure a lot of people did not see that coming. I didn't see it coming. I was even like, are you, what? Did I hear these words come out of his mouth correctly? Did I, is it, I watch it with subtitles. I'm like, is, are the subtitles correct? Did I also hear it correctly? Like, what's going on here? Because I know Kwame didn't say I do to this woman that he clearly hates and resents. What? Well, Kwame says yes. And I'm just thinking, like, I don't know. It's a very common occurrence, people getting married to people that they don't like. It's very common. And I feel like this is what's happened here. Maybe he felt like he was under pressure. And even throughout the whole wedding, Kwame looked miserable. Like, even when he was saying I do, he looked miserable. Like, he just looked downbeat. Throughout the wedding, he was very low energy. When he was laughing, it was giving, fake laugh. Like, I'm forced to laugh. Like, I'm at a family event that I don't want to be in, and I have to catch up with these aunties and uncles that I don't want to talk to, and I'm doing the fake laugh. It was given that the whole entire wedding. Like, I just could not understand it. Like, I'm just thinking, like, how long are they gonna last? They're not gonna last very long. Like, Kwame is already looking miserable. Like, even on his wedding day, he does not look happy. There was no sense of relief. I'm thinking Kwame said yes because Chelsea is so desperate to be with him. He really, tested her patience, tested her time, really took the piss. And she stayed. And he was just thinking, you know what? I've been looking and searching for my white queen. I've been struggling. Chelsea is here. She will accept anything. I've tried to test her. I tried to push her away, but she's just sticking to me like glue. Like, she really does love me. Like, let me just go for her. Chelsea, she'll make a good wife. She'll make a good partner. So I feel like that's why Kwame chose to settle with Chelsea. Chelsea, on the other hand, she's really excited. She's upbeat. She's happy that she's got her husband. And you know what? Fair play to Chelsea. The desperation paid off. Yeah, they even introduced Chelsea, as, Kwame's wife and with the last name and everything. So obviously that whole approval bullshit has gone out the window, thankfully for her. So, I guess desperate girls up one point, But now, anyway, I do suspect that it has an expiry date. But for now, it's paid off, But me personally, I don't think it's going to be long term. Chelsea is not Kwame's dream girl. Like, look at his face at the wedding. He looked like he wanted to be somewhere else. And I feel like, as soon as he said I do, he regretted it. Will they last? I guess we'll have to see. I mean, Chelsea is going to hold on to Kwame for dear life. So yeah, we'll have to see. I feel like if anyone's going to file for divorce, it will be Kwame. I feel like most people are surprised that Kwame said yes. But do you think that Kwame and Chelsea could be long term? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. So the next wedding we saw was Mika and Paul, and my prediction was going to be that they would not marry. I felt like the no could have come from either Mika or Paul. I suspected that it might come from Mika, but regardless of who said the no, I predicted that they probably weren't going to get married. Now, off the bat, I don't think that Mika and Paul are compatible, but on the show they've been playing house. They've been putting on this relationship face that just felt to me very shallow and fake. But looking at Kwame and Chelsea and seeing that they got married, it was kind of like, well, maybe Mika and Paul could get married, because I felt like at the very least, at least Mika and Paul can play house. Like, Kwame just looked miserable throughout most of the episodes with Chelsea. But as we see Paul and Micah getting ready, they're both, putting this narrative out in the air that they love each other, but they're not sure if they're, ready to marry each other yet. Whether the love is giving, I want to be with you for the rest of my life type of love. Both of them were saying that narrative. Like, I'm not sure what I'm going to say. Oh, I think I'm going to decide, like, when I get up there. So they were both giving that. So immediately it was giving it's a no. And it was becoming increasingly clear that it was going to be either or. Like, Mika was going to say no or Paul was going to say no. Somebody was going to say no. They definitely weren't getting married. So then we get to the ceremony. Their speeches are very cute. Then it comes to the I do's. Mika is up first. But when it's time for her to say I do, she's like, actually, I would like Paul to go first, actually. And when she said that, I was thinking, oh, that's very strange. Like, to say at the wedding, like, in your head, okay, cool. Because for me personally, in this particular environment, in this experiment, I wouldn't want to be the one who goes first, and for me to be saying yes, and then you to be saying no, and me looking like an idiot. And even for a pre-planned wedding, like, for me, I'm not going first. Whoever I'm getting married to, they need to go first. Get ready so you don't have to get ready. But when it's like, it's already been chosen for you, like, you're now saying, oh, I would prefer if you go first. Like, that's a bit like, oh, girl. Because if that was me, like, in this experiment, I would just have to firm it, I would have slipped them a note before saying, you better not ask me first. But if they were like, okay, Shannon, you have to go first, I would have to say. I wouldn't be like, oh, actually, you go first. Because it's already coming off a bit standoffish, It's already coming in a bit cold, a bit challenging, I was thinking, oh. And everybody was even looking like, oh, like, I never seen this before at a wedding. Like, oh, no, you go first. Like, what? Because if that was said to me, I would have been like, no, they said you're going first, actually. like, why do I have to go first? It just set the wedding off at a strange vibe. Like already, the wedding's already bad vibes. So Paul goes first and he says no. And it was very predictable that Paul was going to say no. Like I said, Mika already set up the bad vibes of the wedding. So he says no, and he says that it's not the right time for them to get married. And I agree with that. They shouldn't have let it get this far, in my opinion. But it was Mika acting fake upset for me. Obviously, it's not nice to be rejected at your own wedding, you know? It's not nice, but I just kind of felt like her tears were very forced. She was saying things like, oh, I knew you didn't love me, like basically saying like, I knew you were going to say no, like, you know, insinuating that maybe Paul had, you know, strung her along. But it's just like, you were here with the bullshit as well. Like, you did not love this man, probably weren't going to say yes either. So the way that she was trying to victimize herself was almost comical. Like, girl, it's not that deep. Like, I really am confused at this story that you're trying to spin. And it just kind of seemed like Mika was trying to write this narrative that Paul never really loved her and he was stringing her along so that she can break things off indefinitely, and not leave the door open for them to date on the outside world. Because when they were both like, I love them, but I'm not sure if we're ready for marriage, it was giving, oh, maybe we should continue dating. But the way Mika was moving in this ceremony, it was given the don't even try and call me after this, like, it's over. Which is what she really wanted, you know? But obviously she wanted it to be her, the one that rejected Paul. And now that it's the other way around, it's kind of a bruise to her ego. I'm pretty sure if Paul said yes, Mika would have said no. So obviously Paul was trying to explain himself and like trying to say, no, it's not because I don't love you. And then Mika just like runs off, and it was all just very strange. Like it was a bit funny, to be honest. Like it felt like a producer bit. So she runs off. Paul follows her. Notably, her family don't follow her, but I believe probably production was like, you guys have to sit down. This is the scene now where Paul goes after Mika, because obviously in the real world, I'm assuming her family and her friends would have gone after her to comfort her. Like, even the way that he was going after her, like, it just seemed all very forced. But another notable thing is when this is all going down, like, they're still outside, they're still at the altar, her best friend Shelby, the one who no one is good enough for and the one who just hated Paul for no reason, is making jokes, cracking up, laughing. Like, yeah, I know it's just kind of like, obviously that's meant to be her best friend, why is she laughing? But I'm sorry, the situation was funny, so I personally can't blame her, because Mika and Paul's wedding was kind of funny, to be honest. It was just very odd. So I can understand why the friend was laughing, to be honest. But obviously, you know, she should have been behaving, you know. Her friend should have been behaving. So now they're alone. They're having this talk. And Mika's basically telling Paul to get away from her. So then Paul goes away, and then Mika's family come to comfort her. And then basically it all comes out from Paul. Obviously, up until this moment, I thought it was strange that Paul was acting oblivious to the disrespect from Mika, especially with how she was entertaining Kwame. The energy that Mika and Kwame had together, the pool party was very disrespectful. So when Mika tried to accuse, you know, Paul of flirting with Irina when that wasn't the case, I was surprised that Paul didn't bring up anything that Mika was doing with Kwame. So it becomes very clear that he peeped the bullshit, and he was basically saying, like, the things that she's saying, like, oh, I didn't really love her, and, you know, things weren't really reciprocated. That's how I feel. And then he goes further and says that he doesn't see Mika being a mother, and she doesn't have nurturing energy. And, you know, that's quite an insult. Like, I couldn't see you being a mother. I couldn't see you being nurturing. I'm not gonna lie, Paul, I couldn't really see you being a father either. If I'm being real, it was very clear that it was Mika's looks holding the relationship together. That's why he was letting shit slide. But ultimately, he was just kind of like, yeah, I can't marry her. I can't do it. And he basically insinuates that he's not really going to be leaving the door open. Like, he can't see himself marrying her in the future. She's just going to be a fond memory to him. I feel like he's not going to pursue anything romantically after this wedding. And I feel like for the most part, Paul's assessment was right. They weren't compatible. Mika clearly didn't love him. I'm not sure if Paul loved Mika though. I feel like he loved the idea of her rather than her physically. Will Paul end up with somebody? I don't know. He's a bit of a strange man, to be honest. So maybe he could, find a strange girl and they could live a strange life together. Maybe. So then the next wedding was Brett and Tiffany's. Now, we already knew they were going to say yes to each other. And honestly, this was probably my favorite wedding. I love seeing this wedding. It's probably my favorite part of the episode. Like, I am actually here for genuine romance. Like, when the romance is genuine, it is really lovely to watch. Both have their family's blessing. So they really are starting off this wedding on the right foot. Obviously, in the trailers, we did see that there was going to be a problem at their wedding. They made it seem as if the problem in the wedding would be something between Brett and Tiffany. But it turns out that the problem was with Brett's wedding outfit. The tailor did a shoddy job on his trousers and he wasn't happy. And you know what, like, on my wedding day, I'm supposed to be looking 10 out of 10. How dare you try and ruin my wedding day? That is a high level of disrespect. So he takes himself to the tailor shop to get his trousers fit. And that was the whole big dilemma of the wedding. Obviously, Netflix had to make things seem dramatic for no reason. Like, that was a bit cheeky. But I can definitely understand Brett being agitated. And yeah, period. Like, why would you settle for your wedding outfit on your wedding day? And my husband better be looking prim and proper on my wedding day. You can't be in my wedding pictures, ruining my wedding pictures with your improperly tailored suit. I'd be damned. And I would sue the company for emotional distress. Because why are you stressing me out on my wedding day, not tailoring my suit properly? Like, so for me personally, I'm definitely here for Brett wanting to look his best on his wedding day. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Do you think Brett was being a bit extra? Do you feel like it's, his, frustration was justifiable? Let me know. But anyway, yeah, Brett gets his suit fixed and the wedding starts. The ceremony is beautiful. The vows are beautiful. Then we come to the I do's and they both say yes. And it really was a beautiful wedding, an emotional wedding. You could feel the love in the room. Marshall was even there. Marshall got invited to the wedding. Oh, Marshall. I hope his recovery is going well. I hope he's charging up to bring us drama for the reunion as well. But yeah, I hope he's doing well. But yeah, it was a gorgeous wedding and I really can see longevity in this marriage. And then after that, it was Zach and Bliss's wedding. Now for this, I was very much 50-50. I was pretty sure that Zach was going to say yes. Zach seems very determined to get married. And for Bliss, I think it was 50-50. But I was leaning more towards she was probably going to say yes. I don't think that they are a romantic pairing. I don't see the romantic chemistry there personally. Like I said in my last review, I could see them working as a business marriage. They both want to get married. They both want to have kids. They both, want a similar lifestyle. Them deciding to get together now in a marriage to facilitate that could work as kind of like a business arrangement. That's kind of how I view their relationship, because for me, I can't really see romantic chemistry. And like I said in my last video, I'm not against this type of marriage. At the end of the day, love is not enough to sustain a marriage. So, if you've got your little business arrangement marriage and that works for you, give for you. Notably, when they're getting ready, there's not really much talk about doubts. Obviously, with Bliss, she was the second choice. He proposed to somebody else and then proposed to her. So there was always going to be that lingering, but I feel like she accepted his proposal. She's got to this point. She's been arguing with her dad. So for me, the vibes were giving when they were getting ready that they were both going to say yes. We also get a bit more information and insight onto why Zach didn't choose to propose to Bliss first. But basically they had this big argument about family approval. I guess Zach was trying to express, his anxiety, of Bliss's family not accepting him. And Bliss was being very dismissive. Obviously, it's very clear that Bliss doesn't really care about what her dad said. She knows that her dad is a harsh person. And I feel like, sometimes with harsh parents or parents that just want to be negative all the time, it's very much, it goes in one ear and out the other. I feel like that's what Bliss's approach to things are. So when, Zach is expressing, I'm worried that your parents are not going to accept me, in Bliss's head, she's thinking like, who gives a fuck if they don't accept you? Like, I'm still going to marry you anyway. Like, if I want to marry you, I'm going to marry you and they're just going to have to deal with it. That's Bliss's mentality. But with Zach, obviously this whole approval thing is clearly linked to, trauma. So I guess my understanding of it is that he basically felt that Bliss was dismissing his trauma. I feel like Zach is not very explicit or expressive about his trauma in regards to his upbringing. So I feel like the argument probably was just miscommunication, or maybe Zach just being hypersensitive. I feel like maybe Zach just wanted Bliss to be a bit more sensitive to his feelings. Obviously in the pods he did say that he loved, Irina and Bliss the same, and he's struggling to choose. So maybe this was one of, the circumstances that he used, when he was doing up pros and cons for each, and he was like cons for Bliss. Because even in the pods, there were times when Bliss did come off a bit judgmental, especially when she was talking about, like, if you pick Irina, that shows your judge of character. With this argument plus that, maybe he was just thinking like Bliss is going to be super judgy. Again, linking back to his trauma with his upbringing and how people have reacted to that. That's why he chose Irina. But ultimately, I do think that he did have better chemistry with Irina in the pods. And that was also a factor that went into it. I don't think it was just this upbringing. I do feel like chemistry and stuff like that, and other factors as well, probably went into him not choosing Bliss ultimately. But I gotta hear from you guys. Do you think it was just this argument, like just this? Do you feel like with the way that Zach explained things, do you understand why he chose Irina now? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. So then we have the wedding ceremony. Before they walk up the aisle, Bliss's dad is talking about don't settle ever in life. So it's very clear that Bliss's dad wants her to say no. And also what's very telling is that when Bliss's dad was like, don't ever settle, Bliss kind of made a face, like as if to say like, well, I will be settling with Zach. Because personally, I do feel like Bliss is settling with Zach. Do I think that they're a good pair? Yes. But is Bliss settling with Zach? I do feel like she is. It's a good settlement. I'll give her that. It's a good settlement. But is she settling? Yes, I do. But I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Do you think Bliss is settling with Zach, or do you feel like she's not? I'd be interested to hear from you guys. Zach's speech was a bit on the wordy side. Like, he was a bit awkward during his speech, but it was kind of cute in a Zach way, I would say. What I thought was funny is that, he kept saying, I love you, Bliss. And every time he would say that, it would pan to the dad, and the dad would be side-eyeing. It's just kind of like, you're literally at the wedding now. Like, can you just pretend? Like, just put on the face. Like, just for a couple of hours. You can't even do that, dad. Like, come on. Like, you are so miserable. Then they get to the I do's. Zach goes first, as he should. I think that was the right choice. After he put Bliss through the ringer, he should definitely be the one to go first. And then we get to Bliss. And I was pretty sure that she was going to say yes. And also the score gave it away. It started to go like upbeat and romantic, and like happy violins were playing, and I was like, okay, okay score, like she's clearly saying yes. And she says yes, and then they get married and they dance to that song that they both wanted for their wedding song. And you know what? The wedding was cute, I still can't see romantic chemistry, but the wedding was cute. I think that they could last long term. Will it be forever though? I would say no, but it could last long term. But I'd be interested to hear what you guys think on Zach and Bliss. Do you see it working out long term? Can you see a divorce? Let me know. And that concludes the marriages for this season. So we're up on the scoreboard. I haven't watched season 1, so I don't know how many weddings there were in season 1. But obviously season 2 and 3, we already had 2 weddings. This time we have 3 weddings. So, the success rate is going up. We still haven't got any divorces from season 3 yet. They're holding firm. Also, really random, but I don't know if you guys know, but Barty's had a whole baby. Like a whole baby. And have you guys seen the baby mother? Because who I thought his type was, the baby mother don't look like that. I gotta say. And I watched a TikTok video on like theories of how this baby has come about, and that was also very wild. But yeah. But anyway, back to season 4. In terms of the divorces for this season, I think the only one I could say for sure would be Kwame and Chelsea. Possibly Zach and Bliss, possibly. Would anyone else in the season start dating? I don't know, maybe Paul might get in contact with Amber, might get in contact with Irina, who knows? Obviously, Josh and Jackie, apparently they were seen at a baseball game recently, so I'm guessing they're together, or at least hanging out, still having a situationship. Marshall, I hope he's doing well. Micah, who knows? I mean, at the wedding, she was talking about like he wasted her time. She could have invested in somebody else. Who was that somebody else? Because the only somebody else I know is Kwame. Would she reach out to Kwame? Who knows? Who knows? Obviously, the reunion's next week. I'm hoping for a lot of drama. A significant amount of drama went on this season. Obviously, the big one, Marshall and Jackie. Are they going to confront each other? That whole scenario was absolutely ridiculous. Is Josh going to be at the reunion? Because obviously they're dating now. Like, you know, are Josh and Marshall going to have beef? And also looking at the tapes back, you know, with her whole Mika and Kwame situation, you know, how's Chelsea going to feel watching this footage back? How does she feel watching this footage back? How does Paul feel watching this footage back? Because he's been played a bit as well. Have there been, you know, have Mika and Paul seen each other after the show? Did they try and make things work? I'd be interested to know. You know, has anybody else started dating? I'd be interested to know. And that's about it, really. Obviously, you know, general updates, you know, Tiffany and Brett, how they're doing. I would love to know. But I'm really just here for mess. So hopefully that's going to be brought to the reunion. So I'll be back when that episode drops. So I'm probably thinking either the Tuesday or Wednesday after it drops, I'll have my review up for the reunion. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the review. Do let me know what you thought about the marriage outcomes. Do let me know what you think about the couples. Do let me know what you think about the individuals. And as always, let me know what you thought about my commentary. So in terms of what's next for reality TV on my channel, I'll be continuing to post my season 2 Love is Blind reactions, as well as my Bachelor in Paradise season 7 reactions. My Mean Girls reaction is coming out soon as well. And if you'd like me to review or react to any similar shows, you can always send me a direct request on Patreon. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to have a notification bell on so you know my next video is dropping. I'm also trying to get to 4.6k subscribers. That's my next short-term goal, and I'd appreciate if you help me hit that. And thank you to everybody who's subscribed to my channel so far, and thank you to everyone who's taken the extra step to sign up to my Patreon. It really means a lot to me. Till next time, guys, bye.